All right, guys, Mike Davis here inside the Den Fox 5 studios. It's a big time, best time of year, NFL draft time. That's why we had to get our Raiders insider from ESPN Radio. We used to love him on Sin City Beat. Now he's doing big things with Joe and Q on ESPN Radio. He's in Green Bay right now. Was touring Lambeau Field. He was with Roger Goodell not too long ago. But Q Myers is joining us on Sound Off Sports. Q, you're the perfect guy to talk to as we're gearing up for the silver and black and everything going on with the Raiders draft. So let me start with you here. Okay, 6 overall draft pick. It's a primetime selection for the Raiders. What would you do if you were the general manager at 6? And what do you think the Raiders will do? I want to know both.
Okay, that's a good question. I love that. And thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm so happy to be back on with you guys. But this is the deal. If it's me, if I'm in charge at number 6 and Shedeur Sanders is there, I'm taking him, right? And I know that a lot of Raider Nation would not be happy about that. They'll say, yeah, but they just grabbed Geno Smith. Yeah, but they just extended Geno Smith. Yeah, but he's not going to help you win right now. True, and true, right? I get that. But with that being said, he would be a franchise quarterback. I'm in the belief that he's going to be really good. I understand that some people do not sign up to that he's going to be really good. But you know, the guy who I believe knows the best about him would be Tom Brady, right? The guy who's his mentor, who's a part minority owner of the Raiders. So Geno Smith is not going to be the franchise quarterback for the long haul. So I do see a scenario where if he starts to drop, he drops a 6, I would go and get him at number 6. With having Geno Smith there, you don't have to trade up to go get him. That's what that eliminates. You can sit there, sit at 6 and be comfortable with whoever falls to you and make a decision. But if he's there at 6, I would take him and say, I've got a quarterback that can help me win right now. And I also have a quarterback that I think is going to help me win a little bit later, be the face of our franchise, and I'm going to put a lot of butts in the seats at Allegiant Stadium wearing black Sanders jerseys as opposed to seeing Steeler fans come in, as opposed to stealing Bronco fans coming in, Charger fan comes in, all those fans. Instead of seeing all those opposite jerseys, you're seeing your home jerseys because you have a star like a Shedeur Sanders in the building.
Okay, so that's what you would do if you were GM. You were putting the name on the card. What do you think they're going to do at 6?
Now, I don't think they're going to do that. I think that what they're going to do at 6 is that they're probably going to attack the trenches, right? I know that the easy name to tie in with the Raiders is Ashton Genty, and
right.
I was even signing up for that, okay, they'll probably take him at number 6. But, Mike, I don't know if he's going to be available now, right? I just don't know if he's going to be available because there's so much conversation about a team like the Jaguars at number 5 taking him. Maybe
Patriots.
Yeah, right. Even at number 4. And it's funny, when the conversation started about Genty to the Raiders at 6, my argument was, I don't know if you want to take a running back that high. I don't know if you want to get one at 6. Like that might be a little high. Now I'm sitting there thinking, maybe he's not even going to be there at 6, which is crazy because the narrative has shifted with us, the media, not teams, but us now, to the point of this guy might already be gone. So if he is gone, I think they'll attack the trenches. I think you'll see a Armand Membu, maybe a Kelvin Banks, maybe a Campbell if he's still there. The tackle out of LSU, I could see them going that direction, or even on the other side of the ball with Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. But I think if it's not going to be Genty at 6, it's going to be someone in the trenches.
Okay, now another guy here a lot of people like in the Raiders draft room, Spytek, a big culture guy, Brady, a big culture guy. McShay was saying that Kelvin Banks from Texas, another tackle in the trenches that they could like. But let's talk a little bit about the Shedeur thing for a second. Let's expound upon that, because we saw so many mock drafts. The narrative, Q, for the longest time was, wow, I mean, it's a shame. The Raiders again drafting at 6. They're not going to be able to even have the opportunity to draft this guy. And now he's not even in the first round of mock drafts. Tom Pelissero with NFL Network released a report today from an unnamed NFL assistant coach saying Shedeur Sanders, the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language, blames his teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. So educate me. You've been doing this a long time. You've been covering the draft for a while. How could the narrative shift so much? And is that smoke and mirrors when you see a day or two before the draft a report like that coming out? That to me indicates that there's teams that want this narrative out there because they want him to slide so they can go grab him. Because I'm starting to get worried. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, Sean McVay and the Rams. Next thing you know, Shedeur slips and he slides into one of those premier elite organizations, that could be the best thing ever for a Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I think that that's the exact reason why you're hearing this all of a sudden. And not to mention it's coming from an anonymous source, right? Anonymous coach that says all these bad things about Shedeur. Well, if he blames others, if his body language is bad, if he feels entitled, why don't you go ahead and feel free to say who you are, right? Why don't you go ahead and say that? If all that is true, what you're saying, put your name on it. Right, just like I just told you, if I was at number 6 and it was up to Q, I'd go pick Shedeur Sanders. I put my name on it. You didn't have to go back and be like, well, an unnamed radio host said he would take Shedeur at 6. No, I got confidence in myself. I'm going to go ahead and put my name on it. Anonymous sources, to me, a day or 2 days ahead of the draft is exactly what you just said. A team that's hoping this guy drops to them. So they're going to try to do a little bit of a smear campaign on his name to maybe get him to drop. Or maybe it's just a guy who doesn't like him, doesn't like the family. He is the most polarizing name in this draft. And I've been saying this for a while, and I think you'll appreciate this. For me, with Shedeur, it's almost like you have to pick a side, almost like Tupac and Biggie, right? When Tupac and Biggie were beefing, it's like either you're West Side till you die or you're East Coast, right? And it's not like, hey, but I'm a Biggie fan. I'm from the West Coast, but I like them both. No. You can't like them both.
No, dude, it's almost like Trump level, like how polarizing he is in terms of the fandom and how people are so nutty with him. Yep. But here's the thing. Let's just break this down. Okay, 2 years at Jackson State. A historically black college, okay? Yep. Travis Hunter, the number 1 recruit in high school football, bypasses all these programs to go play at Jackson State for Deion Sanders. That's a very admirable thing to me. Number 1 right there, 2 guys right there. No teammates have anything negative to say about him. He goes 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years at Colorado. He's got no O-line, no running game. Meanwhile, he's one of the most accurate passers in college football, 70% completion percentage. Okay, he doesn't have maybe the historically tremendous traits that you would want in an Anthony Richardson. Can Anthony Richardson throw like the ball 2 football fields? 100%. But can he throw a 10-yard out in the pocket? No.
Exactly.
So
the funny thing is the athleticism that Anthony Richardson has is the athleticism that everyone told me, oh, you can't win with that. That guy doesn't win. When does a athlete like that win at the quarterback position? And now Shedeur doesn't have those traits. It's like, oh, he's not athletic enough. But the thing about it is, you mentioned Anthony Richardson. Where is he at? He's competing with Daniel Jones now to be the quarterback there. And
Joe Flacco is better than him.
Joe Flacco is better than him. Gardner Minshew is better than him. Stop me when you find a quarterback that's actually worth the salt that I'm going to mention that's going up against him. Like Anthony Richardson's like 1 strike from being out of Indianapolis. So
what's the deal here? If Shedeur was white, is this a different story? Like, is it a different story in a way?
I think there's an element of that for sure. He's confident. He's got a big smile. He comes from a family that's very confident. Deion and his mom are very confident about themselves. He asks questions. That's the other thing. He's asking questions. So when some people hear him asking questions, like asking the why, not just if you say, hey, go do this. Okay, well, why are we doing this? That some people are looking at him as, oh, he's being defiant. He's questioning my authority. No, he just wants to know the why. He's just asking for a little bit further explanation. He's actually a pretty intelligent guy. He doesn't get in any trouble. I have people tell me all the time, he's drama. I said, where's the drama?
Yeah.
Well, there's reports. I said, what reports? Just tell me. Just name one for me. That's all I need.
He's had the spotlight on him for his entire youth and career.
Entire life.
And nothing bad has happened. And here's what's so crazy. And I mean, listen, I'm a white dude. You're a black dude. But I just want to say this. It's like, everybody's like, oh, above the neck, we love Shedeur Sanders, okay? But because he's not a white quarterback, then it's all of a sudden in a negative. Where's his physical traits and gifts?
Right.
But the thing is, a lot of quarterbacks that you would want leading your program having good decision-making, accuracy. Yep. Brady wasn't the greatest of all time when it comes to athletic traits, but he was an accurate passer. He's very similar to Drew Brees when he, as a pocket passer who doesn't have the physical gifts and the athleticism, but he knows how to play in the pocket. So I don't know. The more I'm reading about this, and it's just puzzling to me because he was at the top of these drafts. Now he's not even anywhere to be found. So here's my last question on Shedeur is, with Brady being a minority owner with the Raiders, having been Shedeur's mentor, If he's there, if there's an opportunity and they don't take him at 6, it doesn't mean they're not in love with him. The Ravens took Hayden Hurst before they traded with the Eagles to take Lamar Jackson. So do you think maybe there's a chance they get that Kelvin Banks, that Armand Membu, the Genty at 6, but then they trade back into that first round or that second round and maybe use that 37th overall second round pick to take Shedeur there? Because if Brady and the Raiders don't take him, if he's sliding, that means Brady knows from mentoring him he's not as good as we think he is.
Right, exactly. And that would be the sign, right? And so then at that point, okay, maybe I'm wrong, because I just think he's going to be a good quarterback. I really think he's going to be a good quarterback. Watch every Colorado game. Colorado was must-see TV each and every Saturday. Whether I was at the barbershop, I was out hanging out, wherever I was making sure Colorado was on. I was watching it, and he was fantastic, and he was a hell of a leader, and I think the Raiders need that leader. And if Brady decides that they're going to pass on him, then I think that tells you that maybe he's not 100% sold that he's going to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. And so I just take him for his word. But the thing about it is, Mike, I think whoever gets him is going to be blessed to get a really good quarterback. And sooner rather than later, you'll realize how good that guy is going to be.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Decision makers. This is the first time we're seeing a new GM, John Spytek, new head coach Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, all in the draft room making decisions at the same time. Let's just say at number 6, Brady, Spytek, and Carroll each have a different board. They all have a different player that they're going to the board and pounding their fist on the table for. Who gets the ultimate decision in your estimation in that moment? Whose call is it?
That's a great question, because we asked that to John Spytek and Pete Carroll when we met with them a couple Fridays ago, and they said, well, we're going to be on the same page. We're not going to have, I'm going to like one guy and he's going to like someone else.
That's a diplomatic answer, though.
That's a very diplomatic answer. And then they said, well, if that does just happen to happen where they can't come to an agreement, they won't select the player. Well, that can't be true either. Because you got to select somebody. So you're telling me that you have to everyone has to like the same guy. In my mind, John Spytek makes the final call because he's a GM. But again, watching the NFL, covering the NFL, being around teams long enough, I feel like, especially since he's been around long enough, I think Pete Carroll's going to end up winning that.
That's what I think. And on Sin City Beat, a lot of the panel thinks it's more Spytek, but it's a fascinating thing. So what's your philosophy if you were a GM? Because this is where I get kind of a little frustrated when it comes to the NFL draft. I love the NFL draft, but this is where I get frustrated. I think it's when teams try to get cutesy, right, with this stuff. I mean, it's like the value. People start talking about, well, listen, Bucky Irving was a 4th-round pick. Look what he does with the Buccaneers. What's the difference between getting a Bucky Irving and using a premium draft selection in the top 5 on an Ashton Genty? Well, if you miss on Tyree Wilson, it really doesn't matter. There's 3 blue chip guys in this draft. There's Travis Hunter, there's Ashton Genty, and there's Abdul Carter. That's it. There's 3 guys that you can't miss on. Even, Helen Keller would do well drafting those 3 guys, right?
Yep.
Is there a world in which you think the Raiders could even trade up to draft like a Travis Hunter? Because he's can't miss. You need a corner. You need a wideout. Are we going to be more trading back, or is there a world where we could be trading up for a Genty or a Travis Hunter?
That's who I would trade up for, is Hunter. If I was going to trade up, if I'm sitting at 6, I would definitely trade up for Hunter if he became available. I just don't think Cleveland is going to let him go. That's a great player right there. Why would you trade back and decide that, we'll settle for whatever happens and whoever falls to us at 6 when we have the opportunity to go get that guy that, just like the Raiders need cornerback and wide receiver help, so do the Browns, right? And they need star power as well, right? They have Myles Garrett, but they would love to have a nice young star as well in Travis Hunter, who everyone's intrigued to see what he can do because he's talking about going both ways. And I saw him earlier today, and he said he's going both ways. He said, hey, they're going to call my name when I get drafted, cornerback, wide receiver, or wide receiver, cornerback. He said, I don't care what order they do it, but they're going to do that. I asked Roger Goodell already to do it. So he's very confident that he's going to go both ways.
Let's talk about that. The last guy to do that, Jim Thorpe in the NFL was like the last guy to do that, or football. He's going to be like Shohei Ohtani if Travis Hunter does this. Is this really feasible when you're taking hits? You're a multi-million-dollar player. 6'1" frame. He's kind of built a little bit more like, maybe not as slight as Devontae Smith, but playing offense and defense. I love that's his personality, and he loves playing so much that it's that important to him. Do you think an organization's going to let him do it, though, actually?
I think that they'll set something up. I don't think that it's going to be full throttle. They're going corner and they're going wide receiver. I can't see it for every reason that you just said. The NFL is a different ballgame than college, man. I mean, even, a Hall of Famer like Charles Woodson wasn't full-time corner and full-time wide receiver. I mean, he was a hell of a playmaker. So I think that a team is going to say, hey, we're going to set you up as a cornerback first, and then we'll give a package for wide receiver. But the Browns did say that they view Travis Hunter as a wide receiver first and a cornerback second. So maybe they'll reverse that and make him wide receiver first. But I think you have to master one position before you try to be the master of multiple positions, right? And I do think he has it in him to try to do it. I know he's a competitive dude. He told me about going to Dave & Buster's, and him and his fiance were there, and he stayed there the whole day until he got the high score, right? He's like, I wouldn't leave. And I said, did you let her win anything? He said, no, nobody beats me at anything. I have to be the best at everything. She can't get nothing. I was like, all right, there you go. That's the competitive nature that you want to hear in a guy. So he's got that competitive edge to him. He's going to try to do it. But, I think that it's going to have to be pick one, master one, and then you get an opportunity to do both.
It would be so cool if he gets to double major in both. It might be more of a major minor situation, but if he could double major in both, that would be so great. So
I would love to see him as a Raider. I'll tell you that.
Same with me. I think that's the best situation, is for them to trade up in that circumstance. And I think the Browns need a lot of help, so I could see it happening. Now, if you were the Titans, would you take Cam Ward or Shedeur?
If I was the Titans, I'd take Shedeur, but I know that they're taking Cam Ward, and I like Cam Ward. I like Shedeur better. But the reason why they're going to take Cam Ward is because he is more athletic. He does have a stronger arm, and they believe that his ceiling is higher than Shedeur's, which I'm fine with that. If that's what you want, that's great. I like Shedeur as the quarterback, and I also think his star power is big and would be huge in Vegas. But that's just me. But he's my quarterback one. But Cam Ward, I wouldn't be upset either to walk away with Cam Ward. I think he's going to be a fantastic young player. He's got a lot to like. He's played 5 years of college football, so he's got plenty of experience. He's ready to go, and everywhere he's gone, you've seen him continue to grow from high school to where he's at right now. So I do think that he's going to bring something that Tennessee needs. But I'll say this as a side note: they're really upset that they need a quarterback. Because if they didn't need a quarterback and have to get one and be backed into the corner to get one, they'd come away with Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, one of those two.
Yeah, it's a shame. A lot of chaos there in Cleveland. Let's talk a few last things. So, it's like a 0% chance the Raiders walk away with no quarterback. Let's just say Shedeur goes to Pittsburgh, or he goes to New Orleans or something like that. I mean, the Raiders are definitely looking day 2, day 3 to get a Jalen Milroe, a Tyler Shuck, a McCourt, one of those guys, right? I mean, who would you like to see if it's not Shedeur?
I'll tell you what, man. I've talked to myself into Jalen Milroe. I really have. I've talked myself. First of all, I love Alabama football. I yell "Roll Tide" at my house for no reason. I have no ties to Alabama whatsoever, but I love Alabama football. So I've watched a lot of Jalen Milroe. He's got a strong arm. He's super athletic. Intermediate, short stuff, he's not consistent on. So that's my concern with him. But, man, talking to that dude, he's got the right mindset. He's going to be a hard worker. He said today he wants to go somewhere where there's a veteran in place so he can learn. He wants to learn more. And he said, whatever position I'm put in, I'm going to go out there and give it my all. He said he had a really great conversation with Pete Carroll and the Raiders. And he said they're about football. And we had a lot. They had a lot of good ties with Alabama as well. I really see Jalen Milroe. If for some reason he drops to round 2, I can see the Raiders pulling the trigger on him at 37 if he's still available.
Interesting. All right. Great stuff there. Listen, you're always repping Las Vegas. You're always repping the Raiders. It's your boy Q. You're our most esteemed guest. People just love it. When Triple SEN has Q Myers on, it's like getting Ben Affleck or Matt Damon. People just start going crazy when you see Q Myers on our programming. You're in Lambeau right now. You're having a lot of fun. You're going to be covering this draft. Tell us, as we're wrapping up, any crazy prediction, any other last thing you want to tell us before you depart?
I think that there's going to be 3 running backs taken in the first round, which is not a crazy prediction, but it's funny because the running back position, you know how it's been devalued. Now it's back because of Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs. So Genty will go early. That's a no-brainer. Amarion Hampton will go. But watch out for Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, one of the Ohio State guys, to go at the back end of round 1. Maybe even both. I mean, maybe it ends up being 4. But I'm going to go ahead and ride that there's going to be 3 running backs selected in the first round, which all of a sudden is going to be a total shock to everyone because running backs, you can get one anywhere. It's a very deep draft when it comes to running backs as well. So, look, the other thing I'll tell you about the draft real quick, a lot of starters in this draft. There's not a lot of stars. So if you're trying to build the depth of your team and get the real good players, you can get them in this draft. There's just not a ton of star power to look out for.
Yeah, and a lot of people are talking tight ends as well with Loveland and Tyler Warren and now even Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's son from LSU, getting a lot of looks at in the first round as well. It's the great Q Myers. Enjoy Green Bay. I saw the Goodell pick. The only other pick you need now is the Cheesehead pick.
I'll do it. I'll find it. I'll go find the Cheesehead. I'll drop it on my head, and I'll take a quick picture, and then I'll be done with it. So, you know your boy don't wear hats too often, but I got you.
There you go. It's the great Q Myers, ESPN Radio. He said it here. He wants Shedeur at 6, but he thinks the Raiders are going to go trenches. All right, Q. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us. We'll see you next time here, man.
Yes, sir. You got to get me on the show, man. I appreciate you.
Love you, dude. All right. See you next time.